What's up everyone, welcome back to Beyond ARTV. My name is John and it's time for a follow-up to the last tier list that I did. That time I did 2000s bands based on their commercial viability, their success, and their impact on the decade. And if there's one takeaway that I got from that video, it's that you guys actually wanted my opinion. I tried to be as unbiased as possible and not base it on my opinion, and apparently you guys want my opinion. So today we're going to be doing a power tier ranking based on 21st century pop stars. It's going to be based on my own personal opinions, also stirred in with what I felt that they brought to music, because there's some artists on here, there's some of the stars that I feel maybe do shine bright, but they're not quite for me, and then there's obviously the ones that I can't stand that are here as well to make this fair and balanced. Whatever, you get the point, you know how this works. It goes from S to F, S being for superior, and then F being like you're getting an F in class, and nobody wants an F in class unless you're sticking it to the man and you don't care. There's a lot of pop stars to get through in this video, so I'm gonna try to breeze through them as quickly as possible so this video doesn't run on forever. Please drop a like while you're here and let me know if you want to see another installment of this in the future. Let me know what the topic should be in the comment section down below. It's Britney, bitch. Britney Spears is the first pop star that we're gonna talk about today. She was definitely immensely popular at the turn of the 21st century. Her first album, I believe, that was super popular, like Baby One More Time, I think that was like 98 or 99. I've just never really cared about Britney all that much. She just always felt kind of manufactured to me, like somebody was puppeteering behind the scenes. And I think there's a few songs that I definitely enjoy. I could name a lot of them, or at least recognize a lot of the tunes if you played them for me, but like a lot of the pop stars that we're going to talk about on this list today, they're not really albums people. I'm going to put Britney Spears at a D for me personally. Riri up next. Rihanna, the pop star that's been active since the early to mid 2000s. I remember SOS coming on the TV and me getting like, oh, like what's this? This is a little bit different. I like this. Disturbia still goes so hard and pops off. There's a lot of other great tracks like Rehab, and then in her later years, I mean, we got stuff like Diamonds, We Found Love. I mean, a lot of the stuff is obviously played into the ground, but that's pop and that's radio. They're gonna do that, but she's got a lot of singles under her belt that I really do like. I gotta put some respect on the name and throw her up in an A. Pop's favorite redhead is up next, Ed Sheeran, Sheerio himself. Let's see, Ed right here, I feel like he's kind of gotten worse with time, if I'm being quite honest. I mean, he started off pretty solid with Plus, and then Multiply was a genuinely good sophomore album that gets discredited a little bit too often. I feel like great tracks on there. I think that overall, though, since then, he's just fallen into this bland territory where he's going for these bouncy kind of club hits, Shape of You. Castle on the Hill was pretty good, but his newest collaboration with another pop star that we're going to talk about in just a minute, I don't care. I genuinely do not care about, and I'm finding myself caring less and less about Ed. I do think that he's talented, he's a good voice, a good guitarist, but I'm gonna put him at a C. Now, if you want to talk about consistency, look no further than Pink. This woman has been putting out hit singles since literally the year 2000, and here she is in 2019, like 20 years later. She just dropped her album, Hurts to Be Human. I've enjoyed some of the songs that she's put out in recent times. I mean, there was some good stuff on Beautiful Trauma that I did like and come back to. And Pink, I think, had some of the best hit singles of like the 2000s, like 2000 to 2010. I think that Pink definitely deserves the respect of getting an A. Demi Lovato over here, our next pop artist on the list. I think Demi got her start kind of on Disney Channel, Sunny with a Chance, Camp Rock. You probably remember her singing This Is Me with Joe Jonas. But there were some okay songs. Her kind of pop rocky first album, I did enjoy that. And then there were some hits like Skyscraper. She's been through a lot in her personal life. I like when she's able to channel those struggles into interesting material. And then there's the times where she just kind of falls flat. And there's definitely kind of a disconnect with a lot of her stuff. I think some of the singles like Sorry Not Sorry try a little bit too hard. And she just kind of goes back and forth. I mean, she's had some good songs and she's also had some bad. I think that she kind of belongs down at a D, because D for Demi, right? Shawn Mendes, I've never ever been able to get into this man's music at all. I mean, there's a few songs, I should say there's a few songs that I really do like, but to get invested in Shawn, he's just so uninteresting. He's like a carbon copy of other styles and other artists and pop that have come before him. For every In My Blood, there's like 10 that I can't even name. So I think that he kind of started off a little bit promising and interesting from his Vine days, but after that, he's never impressed me whatsoever. Kind of like looking at wallpaper and just being like, huh, well that's there, and he's going down at an E. Gwen Stefani's always been a tough cookie for me to crack because I definitely have some like songs that are almost guilty pleasure, kind of towing the line there of what I consider a guilty pleasure. Holla Back Girl, still my jam to this day, and I hate that for songs like that she tried to replicate them cringily with, say, Spark the Fire, again with Pharrell Williams teaming up there. I loved her band, no doubt, but her solo stuff has just been subpar a lot of the time. I don't care for her stuff. I really feel that she's kind of fallen off. She struggles with consistency. I'm throwing her at a D. Just looking at this picture of Meghan Trainor makes me want to throw her straight in the F category, but first, let's get a little discussion going. Meghan Trainor, what has she brought to the table? Outside of the fact that I don't like her. I don't like her music. I don't like her. I genuinely feel that she's super derivative, but she's, let's say, copied 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s music without bringing a flair or a trace of originality. She kind of pushes buttons and tries to get people behind her cause, whatever that might be. All about that bass, the skinny shaming and everything like that. Dear future husband bossing people around. Poor Junie from Spy Kids. Yeah, Meghan's music sucks, and I'm kind of glad that the mainstream is starting to forget about her. That might sound mean, but she definitely gets a big old honkin' F. Oh, thank the Lord, we've got an actual talent to talk about. It's Lorde herself in the flesh. Lorde is a pop star. I say that loosely because I feel that maybe alternative pop is a better fitting term for her. I would say that's what Halsey wants to be. Halsey not on this list today because we ran out of room on the template. But I think that Lorde is super interesting because she's always kind of been wise beyond her years. Her debut album and the singles from it, Pure Heroine and, say, Team, and also, of course, Royals, that track impacted pop. It turned things towards minimalism, and a lot of people copied it and didn't do it well. It always looked good on Lorde, and her sophomore album even upped the ante further. I couldn't believe it. Melodrama, fantastic. One of my albums of the year for 2017. She was underrated, I think, with like Greenlight. That should have performed a lot better. Supercut should have been a big single. Obviously, Lorde is getting S for superior. Bruno Mars, what a fun guy to listen to. I really just enjoy Bruno's music. A lot of times it brings the party. Occasionally, especially in his earlier years, he brought the emotion, When I Was Your Man, and stuff like Grenade. Yeah, it was melodramatic, but I just liked his voice. From the first time that I heard him on that B.O.B. hook for Nothing on You, I knew that I was into it. I wasn't exactly sure what he would do. I think he's got a lot of great singles, and Bruno is a great entertainer. I'm putting him at a very strong A. What a fascinating moment in history. When Kelly Clarkson won the first ever American Idol, it was like America couldn't breathe. It was Justin and Kelly. Who was gonna win? I think that she was definitely a natural star. She worked her way into it, but she also had a lot of heart, a lot of attitude, a lot of soul to her stuff. Her voice is fantastic. She can really belt it out. I love those moments. But she's also, I have to admit, not been that great in this decade, the 2010s, and that factors in as well. The 2000s, good stuff. My December, so underrated. She fought to get that album out against Clive Davis, the RCA president. Good for you, Kelly. Great stuff in your discography, but overall, I've never just been crazy about most of the stuff, so I'm gonna throw her at a C, right there in the middle. You know what? I'm not feeling too good about that C. We're gonna bump that up to a B. Kelly Clarkson definitely has done a lot for pop, and I'd be crazy to not at least take her influence into consideration. Billie is the newest pop artist on the list. I would say more of like alternative pop, a little bit harder to classify, but she's only 17 years old. It's insane to me what she's already accomplished. I would say that she's one of the biggest artists in the world right now. The only thing is that she doesn't have a ton to go off of. It's not even like a Lorde situation where I feel that she had a few years and it's like, okay, now we know this next phase of her. She's still only 17 years old. So I am going to cautiously put her in an A, but that could definitely bump up to an S if things continue the way they're going. JB, the man, the myth, the legend right here, the teen idol, the heartthrob. I lived through all of that. I lived through the acoustic covers and then him putting out My World and My World 2.0, because when you smile, I smile, girl, all that good stuff. Somebody to love. We made it through the Believe era. I think Justin has kind of been all over the place. The quality has been scattered. A lot of the singles are annoying, kind of drive you up the wall, a little bit crazy. And then you've got Die in Your Arms, which is good. And then Purpose was a really solid album overall. He's just scattered, so I think he belongs right there next to his homie, Ed Sheeran. Avril Lavigne has definitely deserved a better career than the one that she's actually had. She's had some health problems, some label battles. I really have to say, I feel that after Under My Skin came out in '04, I think the label started to worry that maybe because that one didn't sell as much as her debut album Let Go did, they were like, maybe the general public doesn't want a serious down-to-earth pop star that actually feels genuinely relatable. They want something more fun and just quirky and like, oh, you know, and then Girlfriend came out, and the rest is history. Avril has struggled with consistency from there, and I really, even vocally, don't always engage with her anymore. I mean, her last album was just, it was not good. So Avril, you're hanging on to a C right now, but if it keeps going the way it's going, that's gonna go down to a D. I've always gotten a lot of hate for my opinions on Beyonce. I've never been a huge fan of hers. Maybe I don't know, I don't understand the music or something. I think some of her hits are pretty good. I liked that song Check Up on It back in the day. That was my first exposure to her. You guys probably know that I loved Lemonade. A lot of the songs on there, I'm so excited that they just came back onto streaming services, so finally I can listen on Apple Music or Spotify. But also, I really didn't like her self-titled album. I mean, Drunk in Love with Jay-Z. I genuinely detest that song. Graining on That Wood? No thank you. Beyonce, I'm sorry, this is my own personal preference. I'm putting her down at a D. And now for me to get crucified in the comments. If you're talking about 21st century pop, obviously Adele's name is going to come into the mix because this woman sold more albums than like anybody else. Even when people weren't selling records anymore, everybody's streaming. But Adele does have an entrancing voice. She is so powerful with the way that she can just belt it out and unleash. And while I'm not always like crazy in love with everything that she does, she's also extremely talented, but also a lot of the songs are kind of plain sometimes. They don't have a ton to them. A voice isn't always everything. It's about the song that goes with it. So I recognize Adele's impact, but I'm also putting her right next to Kelly at a B. Lana Del Rey, the lady with flowers in her hair, definitely looking a bit like a hippie a lot of the time. She has that music that definitely vibes with the hipsters and the coffee shops everywhere. She also connects to a very passionate and rabid fan base. I have experienced their wrath many, many times. I really don't think that she's a very engaging vocalist. I don't think that she's always that great. I think a lot of times the saving grace is the production to her tracks, but often that can be so slow and so just trying to set the mood for something that's like vintage 50s or 60s or 70s. I'm putting Lana though overall at an E. I just don't find her interesting, so it makes sense to put her with Shawn. Chris Brown is up next, and you know this guy right here. I mean, he's had some hit songs. I'm talking from Run It, which was the #1 song apparently on my 13th birthday, as I learned earlier this year. Everything from that to Kiss Kiss, and then he started to kind of move and try to be a rapper and everything, and he had like I Can Transform Ya and all of those other songs. He was trying to up his street cred and go for a harder, tougher image. And oh boy, he definitely did some work on his image in more ways than one, but I've been ranting about Chris Brown enough lately, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get it over with and say that his music has gone to shit. I mean, albums like X and some of the songs that I heard off of Heartbreak on a Full Moon, you could not pay me to go back to those. F all the way. We're gaining ground on this list, and Ariana Grande is up next. I would say that she is probably the pop star of the moment right here in 2019, but the music itself, it definitely has spoken for itself most of the time. I think Yours Truly was such a great debut album, and she had a lot of good songs, a lot of great singles. So every album that she's put out, I've at least loved a couple of tracks from. I think that Sweetener was the low point for me personally, but she kind of bounced back with the Thank You Next album. Seven Rings though, that can burn in the fires of Mordor, but overall, I really do like Ariana Grande's music, so I'm putting her at a strong B. Go ahead, bring on the hate train. I know that you guys hate when I talk about Madonna's current stuff, but I just don't think that she's been that great since Ray of Light came out, and that was like the late 90s. Confessions on a Dance Floor had its moments. It actually had some really, really good moments. But outside of that, in the 2000s, I mean, especially in the 2010s, the stuff it's been okay occasionally, but okay isn't good enough to hold that pop star status that she has. I mean, the queen of pop right here. We're talking about a ruler of the 80s and the 90s. It just doesn't feel like she's aging all that gracefully, and now she's relying on all these collaborators. It's just kind of sad to see where things are headed. I'm gonna put her down at an E, honestly. Lady Gaga would be the next one to come up here because they've notoriously had beefs over the years, Madonna and Gaga. You guys probably know that I'm a huge Lady Gaga fan. She's classically trained. She also has passion for music. I just love the way that she handles herself and life in general. Everything from her Super Bowl performance to all of her hit songs, the tours that she does, the way that she interacts with fans. I think that Gaga has to go down as one of the last huge pop stars. I don't know if we're ever gonna get somebody like her or Bieber again that's gonna come through and really dominate the world and have everybody's attention like that. She's an easy S for me. From the Disney Channel in Hannah Montana to twerking on stage against Robin Thicke, I think that she has been not that great, a little bit of style over substance with some of that stuff, but her last album, Younger Now, that was a tick up and improvement, so I'm gonna put her over at a C. My girl Kesha is up next. It's no secret that I'm a huge fan of her. She's been through the ringer, but Rainbow, what a triumphant comeback album. That came out in 2017. I hope there's new music in the works. Warrior is an amazing album, possibly her best. I also really like a lot of the songs, a lot of the singles, especially off of Animal and Cannibal. I think that Kesha deserves more respect than she gets. I think a lot of people still look at her and they say, oh, she was that trashy girl from whatever. I mean, Kesha owned that image. She loved that image for a while, and now she's kind of gracefully moved into something else. 3 left to go. Justin Timberlake up next. I mean, this guy, obviously, he was in NSYNC. They were huge. They dominated. Then he moved successfully into a huge solo career. I mean, Cry Me a River, come on. You've heard that. You've heard Mirrors. This dude has had huge numbers, and numbers obviously don't equal success, but he has longevity in the game, and I think a lot of people like to clown on him. His last album, Man of the Woods, it was pretty bad. It was easy to laugh at, but I think my thing with JT is that there's always some songs that I can pick off and enjoy some of the singles, and with a lot of these pop artists, that's all I want sometimes. So Justin, I'm gonna have to throw you in at a strong B. 2 left to go, and oh boy, it's rivals and big ones. Taylor Swift is first, and Taylor, it's hard to really deny what she's done. The transformation that she's pulled off and the fan base. I mean, her last albums have all sold over 1 million in the first week, which is just unheard of. Since Speak Now, she has done that. And I think the best thing about it is that it's not just the numbers, because I don't really care about that at the end of the day. It's impressive, but how does the music speak to you? Speak Now, excellent. Red, really, really great. And after that, 1989, her transition into synth pop and something else was fantastic. I didn't like Reputation, but still, overall, Taylor has owned like 2006 up until now. She gets an S. And that would leave Katy Perry, who mainly was at the mercy of her producers, especially in the early days, whether it was good or not. And oh, Witness, that last album, do we dare talk about that? I think that Katy Perry definitely has a solid enough voice. I mean, I love some of her old hit songs like I Kissed a Girl. No, it's not problematic. Stop thinking everything's problematic. It's not about that for me. It's just the fact that I don't find Katy to be all that interesting of a person. Again, sometimes it feels like style over substance, and she hypes things up to be more than they actually are. She's okay a lot of the times at first, but it gets annoying the more that you hear it, like Dark Horse, for example. I'm gonna put Katy at a strong D. My voice is just about gone now because I had to scrap and restart the entire video due to an error, but I do hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you want to see me do another one with a power tier ranking in the future, let me know what topic I should do, like what type of music should I rank or put in one of these tier lists. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Drop a like on the video and subscribe for the love of music.